Salve to Discipuli, this is Mickey Strabuddy with another flipped lesson from Stage 18, this one about neuter nouns. This information is actually not new. We've been looking at it for about a dozen chapters or so, but the book is officially considering you responsible for it from this point forward. So quickly, let's do a review of your noun purposes. Remember, knowing what the purpose is of the different cases will help you decode your sentences. So if you do not have this chart right here memorized, make sure you do so as soon as possible. And here are the neuter endings. Again, this should look very familiar. For the second declension, there's a backslash because second declension consists of both masculine and neuter. Anything on the right side of the backslash is masculine. Anything on the left side of the backslash is masculine. Anything on the right side of the backslash is neuter. If there is no backslash, that means it's the same. And then over here, we have all three genders. So if it's on the left side of the backslash, it's masculine or feminine. If it's on the right side, it's neuter. If there is no backslash, then they are the same. And there are no neuters in the first declension. And here are the adjectives. Here we have two backslashes. So we've got masculine, feminine, and neuter. In the third declension, it looks nearly identical. There's only one difference. The ablative singular is not an E for the adjectives. It's actually an accented I for adjectives. Here are a couple examples. Here's what a neuter looks like in the second declension. Here's what a neuter looks like in the third declension. There are two neuter rules that you need to know. Knowing these rules will make your lives immensely easier. The nominative and the accusative are always the same. This is true in every declension. The nominative and accusative plural are always A. Again, this is true in every declension. So let's have a couple examples, specifically with the word for wagon. So here, over here is your decoder. Plaustrum weam cloudabot. So at first this looks like two accusatives, but that doesn't make any sense. They're not connected by an and. So how can you have two direct objects? Well, if you remember that plaustrum is neuter, then you will remember that it could also be nominative. So it's this one up here. Weam can only be accusative, so it forces plaustrum into its other possibility. So the wagon was blocking the road. Here we have plaustra weam cloudabont. If you saw this sentence by itself, you would probably think that this was a first declension feminine nominative singular. That would be a good guess, except our verb is plural. You can't have a singular subject with a plural verb, but then you realize that it's actually down here. It's a neuter noun, and it's plaustra. Well, what about this plaustra down here? Again, we already have a definite direct object, forcing this into the subject option. So now the wagons were blocking the street. All right, Warika plaustrum a mowit. Plaustrum, again, ends in um. Is it our subject? Is it our direct object? Well, Warika is a name, and it's first declension. It matches the verb, singular, singular. So this being our subject forces plaustrum into its other option, the direct object. So Warika moved the wagon. All right, Warika plaustra a mowit. We've got two words here, which at first glance may look like nominative singulars from the first declension. That doesn't make any sense. They are not connected by an and even if they were, there's a singular verb. You can't have a compound subject, a plural, double subject with a singular verb. So only one of these can possibly be the subject. Warika, its only option is nominative singular. Therefore, plaustra is forced into its other option, which is accusative plural. So now Warika moved away the wagons. All right, let's do some more complicated examples. In a moment, pause the video, copy down these sentences. If there are any adjectives, underline them and draw an arrow to their antecedent. If there are any possessives, also known as genitives, do a double underline and draw arrows to their antecedents. Put parentheses around any prep phrases. Those could consist of 2 or 3 words. It'll be 3 words if there is an adjective or a possessive modifying the object of the preposition. Everything that's left over, label it as a subject, a direct object, an indirect object, or a verb, and then write out your translation. All right, so our first sentence, Salvius Horea Noah. Noah's an adjective. Remember, adjectives have to match in case, number, and gender, all three. Therefore, it's going with Horea. So now we have three words left to identify Salvius, Horea, and inspexit. Salvius is nominative, so it's our subject. Horea is a neuter noun. It's accusative plural. That's our direct object. Inspexit's our verb. So Salvius inspected the new barns. Principes dona ad alum tulerunt. Ad is a preposition, and it goes with accusative, so ad alum is our prep phrase. So we've got three words left to identify. We've got principes, dona, and tulerunt. Tulerunt's easy, that's our verb. Now we've got principes and dona. This is a little tricky. Both of these in form could be nominative or accusative plural. So which one's doing the verb and which one's receiving? For this one, you just have to look at context. And this sentence is just floating around by itself. It's not in the context of a bigger paragraph, so let's just see what makes most sense. Would it be the chiefs bringing gifts to the palace, or gifts bringing the chiefs to the palace? I think clearly the chiefs make sense as the subject and the gifts make sense as the direct object. Sometimes you do need to just go off of logic. All right, nomen senis mortui skis. Mortui is an adjective. It is a genitive singular adjective. Senis is also genitive singular, so this adjective here is modifying senis. Now, what is senis possessing? The only other noun in here is nomen. Nomen is a neuter noun. Could be nominative or accusative, but at least we know that the name is being possessed by this old man. This dead old man, by the way. This ne here, the reason why it's underlined is just because to visually separate it from this word, this is what we call an enclitic. It's attaching itself to the end of the word, letting you know that you're entering a question. Skis is our verb. So let's go back here. Nomen. Nominative and accusative are always the same with neuters. So is this nominative or is it accusative? Is the name doing the verb or is it receiving the action? Well, let's compare it to the verb. Our verb ends in S. If a verb ends in S, that means that the subject is you. Forcing this into the accusative. So, do you know the name of the dead old man? All right, Plancus monumenta urbis demonstravit. Urbis is a possessive, and it makes sense for it to be possessing the monuments right next to it. Plancus is easy, that's nominative singular. Monumenta is a little bit more difficult. It ends in an A. You might think that it's a first declension nominative singular, but again, Plancus has to be nominative singular, so that takes that option away. And then you'll think to yourself, oh, okay, well, it ends in an A. What if it's a neuter noun? Then is it nominative or accusative plural? But again, Plancus has to be nominative, forcing this into the accusative. Another confirmation is that our verb is singular. You can't have a plural subject with a singular, a plural subject with a singular verb. So Plancus showed the monuments of the city, or you could say Plancus showed the city's monuments. All right, last one, Animalia hospites terrerunt. Animalia, you might think that this is first declension nominative singular, but then you get to the verb and the verb is plural. You can't have a singular verb with a singular subject with a plural verb. Okay, so this must be neuter. And the A in neuter, as we know, could be nominative or accusative plural. Hospites, this is a third declension noun. It could be nominative or accusative plural. So which one is the subject? Which one is the direct object? Just as we saw before, you got to go off of context. But unfortunately, we have no context. So is it the animals terrifying the guests? Or the guests terrifying the animals? We don't know. We'll never know. But I'm just going to go with the animals terrifying the guests for now. So don't forget, the neuter, nominative, and accusative are always the same. The neuter, nominative, and accusative always end in A. Vale te discipuli.